Good morning from Amsterdam. Today's another special day on my bike journey. Today is my first bike fit. I'm going up to South Harlem to a place called enduranceWERX. I went to my local Trek bike shop. They recommended these guys. I kind of overlooked them and then did some more research online, found two places in New York, two or three places that I wanted to go to. Acme Bike Fitters, which is out in Brooklyn, and then these guys enduranceWERX, and then Jalapeno Cycling, which is a former pro cyclist. I think this is out in Jersey though. I wound up going with enduranceWERX because of all the reviews I read. I mean, there was plenty of reviews, and all the reviews on the testimonials on their website were recent. You know, there was one as of January of 2023. There was a bunch as of December 2022. I'm gonna take you guys through on my journey up there, but there's some other things that I need to take to be prepared. It's about a 2-hour process. So this is what I'm taking with me. This is what I take with me on my everyday. My AirPods, my wallet, my keys, my chapstick. I'm gonna take a water. I'll probably take a banana now that I'm thinking about it, but it wasn't originally on the table. So I'll take my tripod. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in there and I'll ask the guy, it'll be a one-on-one session. I'll ask the guy, I'll tell him, hey man, you know, I've been filming YouTube videos recently and I want to film this session, basically free marketing for you, but I wanna take that to build some content for not only you, but also so I can post it for him. Moving on to the bits and pieces I'm gonna take. So this is the 100mm stem that was originally on the 2019 Tarmac SL6 Pro. He put a 90mm, this is 100. So if the guy up there, John, his name is, says, hey, you're actually 100, put this back on. If he says you're a 90, I'm either gonna leave that stem on, or more than likely, I will put on this 90mm Specialized S-Works Venge stem. This stem I bought for my old bike, the 2018 Venge Expert, when I was trying to make it smaller so I could ride it properly. I went from 100 to a 90. This is the 90 I had. It was final sale, so I couldn't return it. So if I am a 90 stem on that bike, I'll put that stem on. Otherwise, if I'm 100 stem, I'm gonna put that stem on. Now for the kit, I mean, obviously gonna take my shoes. I need to call and confirm, but I'm pretty sure what they'll do is ensure that my clips are properly aligned. I'll talk about insoles, you know, are these the perfect fit for me, which I think they are, but you know, I'll ask them a few questions. So obviously taking my shoes, taking a headband. If I do ride for 30 minutes while I'm in there, you know, I may sweat. I don't really wanna get too sweaty, so I have a headband. I have a pair of socks. These are enduranceWERX. I love these socks. These are honestly the ones I use the most. And then I have my kit. This is my favorite bib right now. It's a Velocio Deluxe men's bib in navy blue. So I got this off of the Mike's Bikes website during Black Friday. So I believe it was like $100 off or something. I mean, crazy good deal. This is Velocio, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Velocio's top of the line bib. Really, really like it. Awesome material. There's no actual visible break at the bottom or, you know, kind of cut off for where the rubber or silicone starts, but they do have it in here, as you can see. So it is nice. These are awesome. And then I have my bib, which I bought slightly used on eBay, which is a Café du Cycliste, medium size. It is flowered pattern, as you can see. Flowery, it's got a couple white stripes, Café du Cycliste on the arm, and then 2 white on the back. So yeah, I'm gonna bring all of this when I go, and then when I get up there, I'll change and get started. All right, so we're here. I'm 25 minutes early, so I pulled off to a coffee shop. The subways are only running every 20 minutes. My train was delayed, so I didn't want to be late. So I dropped my bike off. I told them I'll come back in 10 or 15 minutes. So now we just kind of hang out at this coffee shop. I already had a coffee, so I'm not going to go in. I'm just going to hang out outside and then head back to the shop in about 15 minutes, 10 minutes. give him some time to have lunch, and then we'll get started. All right, I caved. I got a single shot of espresso. Needed to use the restroom, so can't just walk in. Let's give it a shot. I'll rate it. Off-brand, uncalled for, random espresso rating. One sip. Everybody knows the rules. Fantastic. 8.2. Quick to the jump there with the rating, but 8.2 there. Let's get the name of this place. No name coffee shop. 7th Ave. 8.2 espresso shot. Let's get back now. Come on. All right, to make this as authentic as possible, I'm going to do this recording in one take. Okay, so you walk in the bike shop. Big machine on your left is to measure your inseam. White thing on the bottom there is to measure your sit bones. That's the length of your legs and the width of your hips. Here's my bike on the trainer. John was doing some stuff. So we start here. John's looking at my cleats, right? So we're looking at the positioning on your cleats. Is it too far inward, too far outward? This will affect, the range of motion on your ankles, your knees, the effects that have on your legs. So we do a little bit of adjusting here. I have a little bit of a bow, my left leg tends to bow outward. So when I pedal, my right leg is kind of straight, and then my left knee is kind of out. I have a bad left ankle, so I compensate by kind of pushing my left leg out. But anyway, we slap them back on the trainer here. I'm just kind of pedaling, nice and easy. Reminder, no adjustments yet.
Saddle's on the low side for how flexible you are. Not sure about the setback of it yet. Cleat position isn't doing you any real disfavor. Stem is too short. Bar level is probably good, if perhaps slightly on the low side. And now let's take an hour to prove these things.
Yeah, so that was John basically just giving me his first take based off of what he saw. Everything that he said pretty much turned out to be true, which was obviously good, right, to hear from an expert. But here he's putting on Velcro pads. So eventually on the Velcro pads will be sensors. So you can see he's lining one up with my hip. He's got one on my knee. He's got two on my feet. You can see one on my elbow, both sides. So he puts the sensor battery in the back, and then he hooks up the sensors. So on the TV in front of me, you'll see here in a few minutes, but it mimics the motion of where all of those sensors are, so you can get a true representation and understanding and true data points on the degrees at which each part of your body is flexing, each part of your body is moving, the angles at which it's moving. So it gives you the true data. So we're just kind of walking through this. John's making sure everything's comfortable, it's set. And then here he goes, kind of clipping all of these sensors on. And then in a minute here, we're going to sit down at the desk, and he's going to put it all together. He's going to fire up the machine in front of me, and we're going to get rolling. You can see a bike on the screen now. That's, what he has on my bike. There's something here at the end, I'll show you at the end of the video, where he scans the entire bike to get the measurements of the bike on the screen. He didn't do that before, he did it after. I think that might have been a mistake, but all right, so look over John's right shoulder. So where he's pointing right now, he's telling me that's the angle at which my right knee is moving. So I got a pretty symmetrical cycling stroke here. But see in the top right how it's all skewed all over the place, John's saying that? That's because I'm doing that on purpose to accentuate that so we could see it. And now it's back to almost a straight line, right? No reversion outside of that straight line. It's just pretty much parallel, my right knee moving. You can see below that, my feet moving. John just gave me the thumbs up saying that that's pretty ridiculous how parallel my knees were in relation to each other and how symmetrical my body was. So flips me around here. And same thing, we're just kind of going through the motions. John's making sure that the machine, the retool machine, gets all the different angles from both sides. And then we're walking through them. So he's like, hey, the left side of your body, you might have a slight negative degree on your left hip versus your right hip, right? So essentially, my numbers were quite symmetrical in the sense of where neither the right nor the left for my leg, my ankle, my knee, my hip, my shoulder, my elbow, neither the left nor the right were overcompensating or too much of, if you think of a bell curve on either side of the bell curve. So everything was pretty standard here. As you can see, I'm just giving you a quick glimpse of the numbers. So you can see some of them are up there. The yellows and the greens mean, the numbers are good. If everything was in red, that would stand out and say, okay, we need to make some adjustments based off those numbers. But because they're in the greens and the yellows, that essentially means, what we have, the degree of difference between the left side and the right side is within 4 degrees of an angle. So it's really nothing to be worried about. As you can see, I'm kind of waving my hand. The stick figure is kind of jumping around there in the bottom. John takes the camera back. I'm going to pedal here so you guys can see. John's going to walk you around. But yeah, that's the initial assessment, right? Is John will put you up there. I'll say, okay, I look at your, I like the way that you're fit, right? Maybe it's a little too, your saddle's too high, seat's too far forward, and then we'll slap the sensors on, and he'll get a true measurement in terms of data, degrees of angle on the left side versus the right side of your body. So we can go ahead and work through that. So back to the cleats now. I think I noticed something here in my left cleat where I was like, can we just try adjusting it? My left cleat was a little uncomfortable, so maybe that's my right one. I don't really remember here, but either way, John's working with me on these cleats. They're honestly, I think, a size too big. They're a 9.5. I tried a 9.5 on in store, man, and they felt good, so I ordered a 9.5. They're a tiny bit too big, I think. I'm gonna run them, and then maybe when the season rolls around, we'll get new ones. But cool. Now that we got all the measurements down, John slaps this retool on. If you look closely, you can see it. He's kind of extending 100 meters, 105, 110, 120. He noticed right away. He's like, I think you're probably a 110, so we're going to skip right over the 100. We're going to go right to the 110, and then we'll go right to the 120, and we'll see how it feels. So we're just kind of adjusting it here, playing it back and forth. Reminder, again, I came in with a 90. So I thought I was 100. I thought I was as standard as it gets. But, John, after all this deliberation, he's kind of moving it around. You can see it, right? Moving forward, moving back. After all this deliberation, in this assessment, not deliberation, excuse me, it's decided that I'm actually a 120 stem. So I was thinking I was 100, right? Like the most average you can get. Nope, I'm 120. So just completely had no idea that was gonna be the case. But yeah, so we're working through it here. We're like, he's asking me to go in the drops, right? Arrow in the drops, regular in the drops, arrow in the handles, regular in the handles. What feels good, what feels bad. I like you at the 120 mark. You know what? Maybe we'll try it at the 110 again. Nah, I liked it better at the 120. How do you feel, Cam? I feel great. All right, well, I think we're set at 120. Well, let's go back to the 110. And it's just a bunch of iteration until you get to that. All right, this is where I like you, and this is where I feel comfortable. So as you can see here, I'm pedaling. He's moving it. I'm telling him where I feel tension in my triceps versus where I don't feel tension in my triceps, and I'm watching myself on the screen from the machine here. So we eventually decided on the 120 millimeter, and I was extremely surprised. That was the biggest surprise of this entire bike fit, really, was that, one, I'm symmetrical, and then two is, yeah, the stem's 120. I was completely surprised. I had no idea. Here I'm kind of just messing around with it. But yeah, we're walking through the stems now. John's got some stems on the screen telling me here's what you need, 6 degrees angle. You want, 120 millimeters. So we're just kind of poking around online, looking at some. And that's what I loved the most about this bike fit, guys. It's that it wasn't all business. Like, we're just shooting the crap, right? Like, he's talking here. When you come in, when you come down, how do you feel? It's like, we're making jokes. We're talking hockey. We're talking bikes. We're talking racing, training. Outside of this, how new this business is in this specific location. It was a really, really great, really, really great experience all around. So, you know, I can't thank John and the team at enduranceWERX enough, and I can't recommend them enough to y'all. Get up there if you're looking to get a bike fit and you happen to be in New York. It's in South Harlem. Go online, read the testimonials. It really is awesome. So yeah, I mean, this was a fairly quick video. You know, it doesn't do it justice, but I do recommend y'all get up there and you seriously consider it. I mean, this was, for me, the most important part of my bike was getting it fit properly to myself. So he walked through when I first got there. Okay, what are your goals? We walked through some stretching, which unfortunately I didn't get to video. And then once we got past that, kind of slapped me on the bike. Like you saw, he gave me your first impressions. Seat's too high. Seat could be higher, excuse me. You know, maybe do this, do that. And then we slapped on the sensors. We walked through the sensors. And then from there, we essentially adjusted things until they felt great. John showed me all the data. We walked through all the data. You know, we worked on adjusting the angle of my stem here. This was by far the most important part of the bike fit, so we spent the most time talking about it at the 120 millimeter. But yeah, guys, I mean, like I said, I can't thank John and team enough, and I highly recommend y'all get up there. So I'm going to leave y'all with a few more final clips before I wrap things up, but essentially that's the bike fit. I mean, it was about a 2-hour process. Most of the time was spent talking between the two of us. And while I was on the bike, pedaling, we're chatting back and forth. What feels good, what doesn't feel good. Here's the data to support it. Very interactive, collaborative process, which was awesome. So yeah, I'm going to leave you with these final 2 clips. Enjoy. Fucking awesome. Okay.
A degree less nose down. And with those adjustments, like basically the same front and back setting.
Yep.
3 millimeters further forward. And that's the most of it.
It's awesome.
Got that saved, got this saved, got this saved. And yeah, I'm just going to type up some notes, quick
Hell yeah,
what
dude.
we changed while we did it, and all this.
All right, just got home. Bike's over there. Trainer's over there. Probably going to put it on the trainer here. Maybe give it a spin. So yeah, final verdict. Awesome. I could not have asked for a better experience from John at enduranceWERX. Phenomenal job. Walked me through everything. Answered all my questions. Seriously, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I walked away completely surprised that I actually need a longer stem. Look online, try to buy a 120 millimeter stem. The second being, look underneath my seat, the clamps here to the rails of the seat. Those are specifically for a carbon seat. So when you have a carbon seat, the rails tend to be a different shape. The rails tend to be more round with carbon seats. Whereas if you just get a normal alloy seat, the rails tend to be more ovular, or vice versa, I don't remember. So you need to make sure that the rail clamps match the rail of the seat. Otherwise, you're going to have, if you look closely, can't even tell, of course, but there's a little wiggle in the seat. So 2 takeaways, or 2 purchases that need to be made. I need to get 120 millimeter stem, and I need to get rail clamps, alloy rail clamps, specifically that fit the alloy rails. And if I buy those two things, you know, I'll be set. My bike will be pretty much perfect. Do have a follow-up with John if I need it. Otherwise, you know, I just slap this baby on the trainer for the winter, start doing some Zwift rides, Zwift races. So yeah, enduranceWERX, John Beardsley, 10 out of 10. Guy was a stud, knew exactly what he was doing. Couldn't have asked for a better experience for my first bike fit. We will see you guys soon. Cheers. Thank you for watching.